Imagine this. You're at work, it's a normal Tuesday. You're chatting with a colleague during lunch, and somehow the conversation drifts into your personal life. You mention you just got a side hustle. You casually say you're saving aggressively. You joke about quitting your job someday. Everyone laughs. But a few weeks later, your manager starts treating you differently. Opportunities stop coming your way. You're suddenly not a priority anymore. Nothing dramatic happened. You didn't do anything wrong. You just said too much. And here's the uncomfortable truth most people don't realize: at work, information is power. And the wrong information, shared at the wrong time, can quietly cost you money, opportunities, and long-term wealth. Today, we're breaking down 5 things you should never tell your job about your personal life, and more importantly, why keeping these things private can actually help you build wealth faster. Problem setup: most people grow up believing that being open, honest, and transparent at work is always the best policy. Be yourself. Be authentic. Treat your workplace like family. It sounds good. But in reality, your job is not your family. It's an economic relationship. You trade your time, skills, and energy for money. And just like in any financial system, information changes how people value you. The more your employer knows about your personal situation, the more they can subconsciously adjust how they treat you. Not always in a bad way, but often in a way that doesn't benefit your financial future. So let's go through the 5 things, starting with the one that sounds harmless, but is actually the most dangerous. 1. Your side hustle or other income streams. Let's say you start making extra money on the side. Maybe you freelance. Maybe you sell products online. Maybe you run a small business. At first, it feels exciting. So you tell your coworkers. You mention it to your boss. Big mistake. Here's what happens psychologically. The moment your employer knows you have another source of income, 2 thoughts can form. First, you don't need this job as much. Second, you might not be fully committed. Even if neither is true. And that changes everything. When promotions come up, they might think, let's give it to someone who's more focused. When raises are discussed, they already have extra income, so it's not urgent. Now compare that to someone who keeps quiet. To the company, they look fully dependent, fully committed, fully invested. And ironically, that perception often earns them more money. Wealth insight: when building income streams, privacy protects leverage. The less people know about your financial independence, the more negotiating power you keep. 2. Your financial struggles. This one feels even more natural to share. You're stressed about money. Bills are piling up. You're barely making ends meet. So you open up at work. It feels human. But here's the hidden downside. When your employer knows you're financially struggling, they unconsciously label you as someone who needs this job badly. And that weakens your position. Think about it like this: if you were negotiating a price for something, and the seller knew you were desperate, do you think they'd offer you a discount? Probably not. They'd push the price higher. The same thing happens in your career. If your boss knows you can't afford to leave, you lose leverage. You're less likely to negotiate a higher salary, walk away from bad conditions, push back when necessary because they know you're stuck. Wealth insight: financial struggle should be solved privately, not broadcast publicly. Because the moment people sense desperation, your bargaining power drops. 3. Your plans to quit or change careers. This one is obvious, but people still do it all the time. You tell your coworker, I'm thinking of leaving soon. Or worse, you casually mention it to your boss. I might switch careers next year. It feels honest. But here's what it signals: you're a short-term investment. And companies don't invest heavily in short-term people. Why train you? Why promote you? Why give you important responsibilities? From their perspective, it doesn't make sense. So what happens? You slowly get sidelined. Not because they hate you, but because they're reallocating resources. to people they believe will stay longer. Wealth insight: opportunities are given to people who appear stable. Even if you plan to leave, silence buys you time to extract more value. Better projects, better pay, better experience. All of which increase your future earning potential. 4. Your personal relationships and drama. Let's be real. Everyone has personal issues. Relationships, family problems, emotional stress. And sometimes it spills into work conversations. But here's what most people don't realize: when you share too much personal drama, people start associating you with instability. Even if you're great at your job, even if your performance is strong. Humans are emotional thinkers. So instead of seeing a reliable professional, they start seeing someone with a lot going on, and that affects trust. Not consciously, but subtly. And trust is directly linked to money. People who are seen as stable and dependable are more likely to be promoted, be trusted with bigger roles, be paid more. Wealth insight: your professional image is a financial asset. And oversharing personal problems can quietly reduce its value. 5. Your exact salary and financial position. This one is tricky. Because there's a lot of debate around salary transparency. And yes, in some cases, discussing salary can help expose unfair pay. But casually sharing your financial situation at work can backfire. Here's why. If people know you earn more, they may resent you. If people know you earn less, they may subconsciously respect you less. If your boss knows your exact financial comfort level, they may adjust future offers based on it. For example, if they know you're doing well financially, they might think, you don't need a raise right now. If they know you're struggling, they might think, you'll accept anything. In both cases, you lose control of the narrative. Wealth insight: the less people know about your financial position, the more control you have over how you're valued. Core explanation: the real game you're playing at this point. You might be thinking, so I should just never talk about anything personal at work? Not exactly. The real lesson isn't silence. It's strategic privacy. Because your job operates on perception. And perception shapes opportunity. Think of your career like a marketplace. Your employer is constantly asking, how valuable is this person to us? And they don't just look at your skills. They look at signals. Signals like commitment, stability, independence, reliability. Every piece of personal information you share becomes part of that signal. Some signals increase your value. Others quietly decrease it. And the dangerous part? Most of this happens subconsciously. No one tells you, hey, we're not promoting you because you overshare. It just happens. Insight section: the psychology of information and power. Here's the deeper idea most people miss. Information isn't neutral. It shifts power. The more someone knows about your situation, the more they can predict your behavior. And when your behavior is predictable, you become easier to control. For example, if they know you need money urgently, they know you won't push back. If they know you plan to leave, they know not to invest in you. If they know you have other income, they know you're less dependent. In all these cases, your flexibility becomes visible. And when your flexibility is visible, your leverage decreases. Wealth building, at its core, is about increasing leverage. More options. More control. More negotiating power. So protecting information isn't about being secretive. It's about protecting your leverage. Practical takeaway: so what should you actually do? Keep it simple. Before sharing anything at work, ask yourself one question: does this information increase my value or reduce my leverage? If it increases your value, sharing a skill, highlighting achievements, demonstrating reliability, go ahead. If it reduces your leverage, financial struggles, exit plans, side income, personal instability, keep it private. Also, learn the art of neutral responses. You don't need to lie. You just don't need to reveal everything. For example, instead of, I'm struggling financially right now, say, I'm focused on improving my finances. Instead of, I'm planning to quit soon, say, I'm focused on growing in my career right now. Same conversation. Completely different signal. Ending at the end of the day, building wealth isn't just about how much money you make. It's about how well you position yourself in every environment you're in. Your job is one of the biggest financial systems you'll ever be part of. And in that system, what you say can impact what you earn. So the next time you're about to share something personal at work, pause for a second. Because sometimes, the difference between staying stuck and getting ahead financially isn't working harder. It's simply knowing what not to say.